Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Love and Hip Hop Atlanta review. So let's just get right into what happened in this episode. So at the very beginning of this episode, Carly actually ends up getting released from jail after having to turn herself in at the end of last week's episode because of an altercation that she got into with her ex-husband Tilo, and her lawyer ended up taking care of everything, so she was able to leave that same night. But Carly needs to learn her lesson. She gets into all these relationships so quickly. As soon as one relationship ends for her, she's in another one, and then she gets really infatuated with the person. Things start off really good, and then things start crashing down in the relationship, and Carly starts crashing out. And I feel like this is a repeated cycle with Carly. I feel like this happens to her every single season of the show. I can't remember her actually being single for a long period of time, and so I feel like she really needs to stay single and work on herself. But we know this is Carly, so there's a very small chance that that's something she's gonna do. But speaking of Carly and her divorce, Zell actually ends up meeting up with Bambi at the beginning of this episode, and he starts telling Bambi how he feels vindicated in the situation between Carly and Tilo, because he was trying to tell Carly last season that Tilo was not genuine with her and that he was sleeping with multiple different women, and Carly did not want to hear it and she didn't want to listen to him. And I do feel like, Zell was right about the situation. However, he went about it the wrong way. He was being kind of rude when he was telling Carly this information. And honestly, if you try to tell Carly anything about her man while she's in a relationship with him, she will not listen to a word you have to say. So you're better off just sitting back and letting things play out the way it's supposed to play out. But we all know how messy Zell can be, so he starts bringing up this situation between Mendeecees and Yandy that has been playing out all over social media and all over the blogs, with Mendeecees allegedly cheating on Yandy. There's voice memos and DMs that came out of him speaking to another woman, and Zell basically says that a woman has been in his DMs telling him information about Mendeecees and how she met up with him and how he was in her messages. So look, this situation between Yandy and Mendeecees is really messy. I'm not surprised about it though, because there has been rumors out about Mendeecees cheating on Yandy. There has been rumors out for quite some time. They just really didn't get that much attention. But I like the way that, Bambi handled this situation with Zell, because she said that she already has enough to deal with and she's not trying to be inside of anybody's relationship drama. So she told him that she didn't want to hear anything about these DMs that he has gotten from a woman who is claiming that she had something going on with Mendeecees. And honestly, I don't blame Bambi. I wouldn't want to be a part of that mess either. But Yandy and Carly actually end up meeting up with each other because Carly brought Yandy with her to talk to her divorce attorney. And Carly basically ends up asking Yandy how she's feeling, because obviously her and Mendeecees, relationship has been all over the blogs about cheating allegations. And so Yandy said that she's embarrassed about the whole situation, but she said that she had already known about these DMs and about these voice memos that, Mendeecees sent to another woman. And she said that they had already dealt with it in private. And she said that this situation occurred in 2023 when they were already having issues in their relationship. I don't like the way that Yandy kind of blamed herself for why Mendeecees was talking to another woman in this way though, because she did say in her confessional that she understood why he was talking to another woman, because she really wasn't doing her part in their marriage. And I still don't feel like that's an excuse for him to cheat on her with another woman. He could have just told Yandy he wasn't happy in the relationship, and if things didn't change, he could have just decided to end it, but instead he decided to talk to another woman behind Yandy's back. So I don't like that she keeps making excuses for his behavior, but to me, Yandy is another Rasheeda. She did say that she's upset at the fact that Mendeecees won't make a public statement about the situation just to quiet the noise, but she said that she feels like he should, because at the end of the day, she feels like he should be, defending his family. And I get what she's saying. She feels like she always has to be the one that makes a statement about their relationship when something goes on in the blogs about the two of them, and I don't think that that's fair. But at the end of the day, I don't think Mendeecees is going to budge. I don't think he's going to make any public statements at all. Now, Sierra also has some drama in her new marriage with Zay, because her mom does not like Zay. The two of them do not get along with each other, and it was very clear during this meeting that, Sierra set up between herself, Zay, and her mother. There was tension at the table immediately, and basically Sierra's mother doesn't feel like Zay is being genuine with Sierra, and she feels like he's hiding some things, because she said that a woman came to the shop and made, all these allegations about Zay and how he was in her DMs and trying to be with her. But Sierra tried to shut that down immediately and said that that situation was fake, it wasn't real, and this happened at the very start of their relationship, so she really wasn't taking it seriously. I feel like Sierra is like another Carly. Once she's in love with a guy, there's nothing you can tell her to change her mind about the situation, so I feel like her mother is wasting her time. I do feel like she has some valid concerns though about Zay, because her and Zay did get married pretty quickly. Sierra moves very fast. Every single season, just like Carly, she's in a new relationship and she takes it very seriously really quickly. But Zay ends up getting so upset with Sierra's mom that he ends up walking out. I understand both sides. I understand that Sierra's mom is trying to look out for her daughter and make sure that she's not getting into a situation with a guy who's not genuine. But at the same time, I do feel like she has to take a step back and mind her business a little bit, because obviously Sierra's a grown woman and at the end of the day, she's going to do what she wants to do. But I feel like Sierra has an issue with overtelling her business. And maybe if she doesn't want her family and friends to judge her husband, maybe she shouldn't tell them too much about what goes on in their relationship. Now, Yandy does end up having a talk with Mendeecees in this episode, and she tells him that she feels like he should come out publicly and make a statement defending their marriage and their family, but he said that he's not going to do it. He said he's not budging because he feels like this is an old situation from 2023 that they already dealt with privately, and so he doesn't understand why they have to deal with it publicly when they already healed from the situation. But he has to understand that Yandy also has to go on the internet and see people in her comment section and see people on social media and the blogs making comments about their relationship and bringing this up continuously. And he also has to remember that when one cheating allegation comes out, multiple cheating allegations come out. So it's not going to stop and it's not going to end. So I do feel like he should say something. I do understand where he's coming from. He does feel like, they shouldn't have to rehash something they already healed from. But when you're in a public relationship, this is what comes with it. Carly ends up meeting up with her daughter Jasmine at some point in this episode, and she basically tells Jasmine that she's still hurt about the fact that she was not there for her when she had to go turn herself in. Carly wanted her daughter to bring her to the jail to turn herself in, and she wanted her daughter to be waiting outside for when she ended up getting released. And look, I understand that Carly's hurt that the person that she loves the most wasn't there for her during a really difficult time, but her daughter also has her own life to live. She has her own family, she has a child, and she did tell Carly on the phone at the end of last week's episode that her son was sick, so she could not leave the house. So I feel like Carly is too codependent on her daughter, which is something that Jasmine said in her confessional, that Carly has always been codependent on her. And to me, that's not really a good thing. Everything you're going through as a mother shouldn't fall on your child to be there for you and comfort you. I just feel like this whole scene made it seem like, the roles were reversed, like Jasmine is the mother figure and Carly is the daughter. That's what it seemed like in this situation. I understand how Carly feels. You should be there for your parent, especially if you've had a good parent. But at the end of the day, I just feel like Jasmine's probably over Carly and her shenanigans. I mean, every single season, Carly is in another situation with a guy. There's a bunch of drama, a bunch of toxicity, and I feel like Jasmine is probably used to it by now, and she's probably over having to deal with it and be there for her mother every single time a relationship goes south. So I can understand why Jasmine feels the way that she feels. I feel like Carly needs to go to therapy. She really, really does, and she has the funds to be able to do it. So I feel like there's no reason for her not to. It's something that she needs to do for herself. Jock, Mendeecees, and Scrappy end up meeting up in this episode, and basically Scrappy ends up ripping the band-aid off immediately. He tells Mendeecees that he sees everything that's going on in the blogs, and he wanted to know if Yandy and Mendeecees were actually legally married, and Mendeecees conveniently skipped over that, so I feel like maybe they might not be legally married. I don't know if they are because I haven't looked into it, but it seems like they're not, and honestly, if they're not legally married, I feel like they were smart, because with all these cheating allegations going on, and you can tell that there's tension in their relationship, it's probably easier for them to not be legally married. So I really don't think it's that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal the way that people are making it out to be. But one thing Mendeecees did say is he said that he feels like Yandy cares too much about what other people think about their relationship, and he feels like if they know that they're good, it shouldn't matter what the public thinks. But at the end of the day, people don't want to deal with that public scrutiny. People do not want to go in their comment section on social media and constantly see people trashing her relationship on social media. That's not something that she wants to see, and it's not something that she wants to deal with. So I feel like he should understand how she feels, because he was the one moving reckless, DMing other women in the first place. He shouldn't have been doing that, and then he wouldn't have to deal with the consequences of it. But Mendeecees said that his problem is with Kirk, because he feels like Kirk was supposed to be his friend, but yet Kirk and Rasheeda did an interview where they were trashing him and Yandy's marriage, and he feels some type of way about that. He did say he feels like Kirk is obsessed with his genitals, though, and I laughed so hard watching this scene because I thought it was funny the way that Jock and Scrappy was reacting to what Mendeecees was saying about Kirk. I thought that was really funny to watch. But I understand where Mendeecees is coming from, because Kirk and Rasheeda have no room to talk about anybody's marriage at all, because their marriage has been trashed since the very beginning. So I just don't understand why they're talking about other people's relationships. But I feel like the reason why they're talking about Yandy and Mendeecees' marriage is because they're happy it's not their marriage in the hot seat. They like that it's somebody else's marriage that's being scrutinized and it's not theirs. And that's the reason why they're so happy about it, and they're jumping on the hate train for Yandy and Mendeecees. Mendeecees. And while we're on the topic of Kirk and Rasheeda, Sierra actually ends up having an event to celebrate her and Zay getting the cover of her magazine. So everybody ends up showing up to support, and Kirk and Rasheeda are actually there. And Zayn tells his wife Ashley that he wants her to clear the air with Rasheeda. So Ashley and Rasheeda end up having a conversation, and Rasheeda basically says that she felt like Ashley was shading her last season, and they ended up showing the clip of what happened last season. I don't feel like Ashley was shading Rasheeda per se. I mean, she just didn't like that Zayn was telling her that she needed to call Rasheeda up on the phone to see how to deal with a marriage, because obviously everybody knows that Rasheeda has been through the ringer with Kirk from what we've been able to see. And so he basically was telling Ashley that she needs to be more like Rasheeda, and obviously Ashley took offense to that. I mean, who would want to be compared to Rasheeda? Who would want that? I mean, Rasheeda is known for getting dogged out by her husband on national television. Nobody would want to be compared to that, so I don't understand why Rasheeda took offense to that. I mean, I don't really feel like Ashley was being offensive. She just didn't want to be compared to another woman when it came to a marriage. But Rasheeda definitely threw a lot of shade at Ashley last season about her wigs and how they looked crazy, and so I just felt like the beef between the two of them was stupid, and I feel like it's easy for them to squash it, which they did end up squashing whatever issues that they had with each other. But it seems to me that Rasheeda always has issues with other women, saying that they don't want to be compared to her, but she doesn't have issues with her husband, who is the reason why people say they don't want to be compared to her. But Ashley did end up asking Rasheeda after the two of them made up if the things that she said in her interview were true about Yandy and Mendeecees' relationship, and she said that she doesn't lie, because she was saying that there were women that had tattoos of Mendeecees on their bodies, and there were videos of Mendeecees with other women. So she's saying she's not lying about it. She's saying she's telling the truth. I don't understand why she cares so much about Yandy and Mendeecees' relationship, though, because I really haven't seen Yandy say anything about Kirk and Rasheeda that was negative. Honestly, I saw Yandy stand by Rasheeda's side through some of the things that she was going through, so I thought it was weird for her to throw all this shade at Yandy. Now, Sierra gets on the microphone and she tells everybody at the event that she's pregnant, and her mom was not happy about it at all. Like, her mother made a huge scene. She started saying that she doesn't feel like Zay and Sierra are ready to have a baby, and she said that she doesn't know if Zay's the right guy. And I understand her concerns for Sierra because that's her daughter, but at the end of the day, this was not the time or the place for her to be acting out. And then Sierra came out and said that her mother wasn't even good to her when she was pregnant with her daughter when she was a teenager. She said that her mother not only kicked her out, but said that the baby could not call her grandma. So I can understand why Sierra is confused as to why all of a sudden her mother wants to act like this. Don't get me wrong, I can understand why her mother was upset at the fact that she got pregnant as a teenager, but kicking her out and putting her on the streets and then saying that the child couldn't call you grandma was doing a bit too much for me, so I can understand, Sierra's frustration. I just feel like Sierra needs to really set up boundaries when it comes to her family, because clearly they're too invested in her business, and it's because she probably tells them too much of her business. So that's definitely something that she needs to work on. But those are my thoughts on this week's episode of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.